What's going on, guys? We are back with our official postseason preview for this year. We're going to go through each series, each team, kind of talk about what we think is going to happen, how we think the playoffs are going to go, while simultaneously filling out our brackets. We just spent, the last 30 minutes
Something like 30 minutes to an hour.
apart coming up with our own topics of discussion. We don't know what each other's brackets are about to look like, so I think without further ado, we just jump right into it. So season series was 4-2 Rangers, but it was a close series, 27 runs to 25. So not much of a huge difference there. I think what it's really going to come down to is just the pitching. I mean, you're going to hear me say that a lot during this. I don't know how you feel, what you wrote down.
I'll get to mine in a minute. Yeah.
But I think it's two solid offenses. I think the Rangers probably slightly better on offense. But you can't discredit the Rays, that staff, that bullpen. I mean, they're a pitching machine. We all know it. And with it being a 3-game series, I think that's what it comes down to the most is just who's top three and bullpen do you trust more. And for me, I have it a pretty easy 2-0 Rays series. It's just it comes down to who I trust more in 3 games.
I kind of agree with Josh here. You know, pitching is probably the most important thing when it comes to postseason success. The Rangers do have the hitting. They're a much better hitting team than the Rays, but lately it just seems like the Rangers have been limping into the postseason. The Rays, they look a lot better. Plus, they have more postseason experience. I mean, this team, it's been in the playoffs for
as disappointing as it's been. They have the experience.
Yeah, they've been for like the last 5 years, I think, maybe even more. So yeah, I have the Rays.
Also Rays.
Their bullpen is just 10 times better. All right, so for Twins Blue Jays, this one, I spent so much time trying to debate which one I thought was better, and quite honestly, none of these teams impressed me very much. The Twins, they have been low-key a little sneaky good lately. You know, no one really talks about them. Their division's pretty garbage, you know. Their pitching has been mildly impressive this year. I don't think it's a, elite-level pitching staff, but it's mildly impressive.
You're welcome for Pablo.
Twins, they have home field advantage here, even though they kind of don't deserve it. They have the worst record between the two.
So going off of what Ryan said, I wrote down this is a close matchup. Season series was 3-3 with it 28-26. So, they played each other pretty heads up the entire year. I like both rotations, especially at the top. I think the Blue Jays have had one of the most consistent rotations in baseball this year. Nobody really pays attention to it because, that division, it's a lot of O's and Rays talk and even Red Sox and Yankees talk, even when they're bad. The Blue Jays kind of get stuck in the middle and don't really get talked about much. But I would put their rotation up against most teams in any series. I'm going 2-1 Blue Jays. So now we jump into the NL. Of course, we've got my Marlins sneaking in somehow. I think we're 33-13 in one-run games. That's probably how we made it. For me, it just comes down to pitching again. I think losing Sandy and Yuri, not having those two, even in a 3-game series, it sucks. And the Phillies have their clear top 3, and I trust the Phillies bats a lot more than the Marlins bats. So as much as it pains me, I do have the Phillies taking this one 2-1.
Yeah, as for me, Phillies Marlins, this one just seems as one-sided as you can get.
Wow.
This Phillies team, it's just built for the postseason. We saw it last year. If this team gets hot, it's going to be hard to stop. They're just simply a better team than the Marlins as well. It's not even remotely close. I think everyone, even Marlins fans, would rather have the Phillies roster than the Marlins roster. Plus, Phillies have more experience, and they have home field. There's just literally, there's nothing going for the Marlins. The only thing they have going for them is that they're, for some reason, a really good postseason team. I just don't think that's enough to give them the edge here. I mean, I would much rather face the Marlins as a Braves fan, but I feel like the Phillies are going to take it. Brewers Diamondbacks. Now, this one is another interesting one. It took me a minute, but I think I have the Brewers in this one. Simply just because they're a better postseason team here. It's all about relief pitching. You know, they have home field advantage. And for the Diamondbacks, they're not that good. Like, it's a tale of two halves with the Diamondbacks. They started the year on fuego. You know, this team was hot. You know, they were in the talks for winning the NL West. They were good. But then, you know, the second half came and they fell apart. I mean, I'm honestly shocked to see them in the postseason right now. That's how bad it got. There was a time when they lost 13 straight games? It was ugly. You know, this team, it's got a lot of potential for the future. But the Brewers, they're just a better team.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, it's kind of along the same lines. Actually, the Diamondbacks did take the season series 4-2, and it wasn't really close. It was 30-19. But again, going back to first half, second half, the Diamondbacks are kind of lucky to even be here in this position. And like I've said, for most of these matchups, it comes down, in a 3-game series, it comes down to whose staff you trust more. I think that the Diamondbacks could maybe steal one, you know, get a great performance out of Zach Gallen in Game 1. But I do ultimately have the Brewers winning this series.
All right, so we'll take a quick look at our wild card picks. Josh, after the first round, he had the Rays, the Blue Jays, the Phillies, and the Brewers. I had mostly the same. I did have one difference. I had the Rays, and then our difference was I have the Twins winning, you know, and we both kind of agree. It's a coin flip there. Who really knows? I have the Phillies and the Brewers.
You went chalk. You must be really fun in March Madness.
Well, to be fair, I feel like more people have the Blue Jays winning this than the Twins. That's why I felt like the Twins would win. That's my upset. It is. I mean, that's...
Fair enough. So this is where things get interesting, right? You've had two teams that have a lot of experience against each other this season. Let me flip back. O's are 8-5 this year against Tampa, but it's 48-48 runs each team. For me, this is when it comes down to experience. I love this O's team. I think they've been really fun to watch all year. They have no playoff experience. So actually for me, I have the Rays taking this series in 7. I do have it in 7. I think it's going to be a fun series, but I do have the Rays taking it.
Yeah, I honestly thought you were going to go with the Orioles here, but I couldn't agree more, honestly. I mean, I love this Orioles team. They're young, they're fun. Honestly, I'm shocked this team won 100 games. If you look at all their numbers, all their players, from pitching to hitting, as a team, I don't really see them as like a 100-win team. They have a lot of potential, a lot of room to grow, but I think I got to give this to the Rays, and I don't think it'll be as close as you think it'll be. I think this could be a 4-1 series, simply because I just don't trust the Orioles pitching staff. So moving on to the Twins-Astros series, I'm not going to lie, I don't even have any notes written down for this one. I think everyone knows who the clear better team is, and that is the Astros. They have run the MLB for like the last, 5-7 years?
Yeah.
And I mean, even when they're not cheating, they just somehow seem to be the best team in the league, which honestly, it's a little frustrating because this team didn't even need to cheat, and they are still that team, you know. I I think they beat the Twins in literally every department. I don't think there's a single like position when you even break it down like individually that I would go, yeah, I'd rather have that guy on the Twins than that guy on the Astros. But it's a pretty easy choice for me. I've got Astros in like a gentleman's sweep, 3-1.
Yeah, I mean, so it's a different matchup for me. Obviously, I've got Astros, Blue Jays. Some of the things I wrote down about the Astros, they're just a well-balanced team. I mean, hitting, pitching, defense, all around, they're just well-balanced, like we expect them to be every year. They were a good team before they added Justin Verlander, and then you add him in that rotation. That bullpen's great. My only real downside with them is their offense is carried by 4 guys. Right, the regular 4: Tuve, Bregman, Tucker, Alvarez. That's their 4. After that, there's a pretty steep drop off. So I agree. I do have the Astros taking the series. All right, so we're back to the NL. Braves, Phillies. Obviously, we all remember how that one went last year. Right?
That one didn't happen last year.
Oh, okay. I didn't think so.
I don't remember that one.
Well, long story short, I don't think it's happening again this year. I think the Braves are going to be a lot more ready for the Phillies this year. It's really hard to do that same exact thing twice. I have it 3-1 right now. I don't think Philadelphia is going to sneak up on Atlanta this year.
So I promise we did, we had no talks about what our brackets are going to look like. But, I mean, yeah, this is going to sound a little biased, but the Braves...
Shocker.
The Braves are the better team, They lost last year in the postseason, and that was gut-wrenching. But because I honestly don't think we really thought this Phillies team was going to be all that good last year, This Braves team is, one of, if not the best hitting team of all time. And we are going to struggle in the pitching department in the playoffs, but not in the DS. The DS is a 5-game series. We only really need 2 starters. I hope Elder doesn't have to come in, but even if he does, I'm not worried, right? I know this team. They have revenge set. Even though the Phillies are like toughest NL East opponent over the last 5 years, I know that this Braves team is going to pull through in this one. So another unsurprising one here. I have the Dodgers in the Brewers-Dodgers series. I do like the Brewers pitching. It hasn't been as good as it's been in the past, but the Dodgers have pitching and hitting and relief pitching and everything. They're the Dodgers. And the Brewers, they have 2 good hitters. It's just, it would blow my mind if this Brew Crew team somehow took down the Dodgers.
Yeah, so here we go again. I don't see this being a close series. I think on the NL side, it's not really close who the 2 best teams are. Even with the Brewers' good pitching staff, I think the Dodgers can just simply outscore them. I'm not a huge fan of the Dodgers' rotation this year, especially after losing Tony. But they can just outscore the Brewers because I don't see the Brewers really putting up many runs in this series. It's boring, but it's meant to be Dodgers Braves. So yeah, we're here with the Rays, Astros, probably the 2 most playoff experienced teams the past few years in the AL at least. I think this is going to be a really, really good series. Maybe one of the better series of this entire playoffs. 2 very well-rounded teams, both teams with pitching staffs that you can trust, hitters that'll get the job done. I think ultimately I have the Astros in a 7-game series in this. Again, I think it's going to be a really good series, but I just trust the Astros a little bit more than the Rays. The Rays usually do something crazy at this point in the playoffs. Like take a pitcher out way too early or just forget to do something. But I do have the Astros over the Rays in 7.
Again, I swear we did not do this together.
We're about to have the exact same finish and everything.
It's insane. I mean,
we spend too much time around each other.
Maybe that's what it is, but look, this Astros team, they're legit. What else can you really say about them? I like the Rays. They're a really good team, but I feel like it's one of those things where I got to see the Astros be taken down before I believe that they can be taken down. Like they lost so many people throughout the regular season, which is why it seems like on paper, the Rays have 99 wins. They're, a 9-win team better than the Astros. But the Astros didn't have Altuve for a long time, Alvarez. I mean, they didn't have half their lineup, and this team had no business winning the division. They just barely won the division at the very end. It's one of those things. It's just destiny for this team to go far, and I don't think it'll stop at the CS. So, yeah, I've got the Astros. So once again, a very non-biased pick here for my NLCS.
I'm sure the next one's going to be non-biased as well.
I don't know what you're talking about. But I feel like, honestly, if you'd asked me this question a month ago, before our last series, man, I would have told you that I think the Dodgers might be better than us. Simply because as an Atlanta fan, it's hard for me to believe in teams. Even the Braves, it's hard for me to believe in them when they make the playoffs because I know something's about to happen. I know something I'm not going to like is going to happen. But when I watched that last series between the Dodgers and the Braves, when it felt like a playoff series too. You had the Mookie Acuna MVP narrative, and both teams they wanted to win. It just felt like it was like a mini World Series in the regular season. And the Braves, they went into Los Angeles and took 3 of 4. They showed no mercy. I got the Braves in 5, and that is not being biased.
For the 400th time, I'll say, along the same lines, I do think the Braves are the better team here. I think this is going to be a fun series, very high-scoring series, just because I don't trust either pitching staff all that much. I do think we're going to get some really fun, firework-filled games. I think the difference is, the Braves have more fireworks throughout their lineup than the Dodgers do. Right, I really like the Dodgers' top half. It kind of slumps down toward the bottom half. The Braves are no remorse throughout the entire lineup. Pitching is what it is. Again, I don't think we're going to see much of it in this series. I have Braves in 6, so I went
only a little bit better.
I went 4-2 Braves. So we made it. World Series 2023, Braves Astros, the old rematch from 2021. I think we all remember how that one finished. If you couldn't,
I don't think they can see that.
That above my shoulder. We are an Atlanta-based facility, by the way, if you couldn't tell. So again, it's 2 juggernauts, 2 teams that we expect to be here almost every year. But I think one juggernaut just is hitting harder right now, and that would be the Braves.
I'm shocked.
This is going to make my life absolutely miserable because I'm never going to hear the end of this, ever. I might have to take a week off of work, honestly, because I don't know if I can come into this facility if the Braves win it all.
So, yeah, let's just be real. We all know what's about to happen here. The Braves are about to win the 2023 World Series.
This day after video, after they blow it, is going to be the best.
Anything else before we sign off?
So, yeah, that was boring because we had, one difference in the entire thing? But again, he was way over there. I was over here. We didn't discuss this at all. Yeah, so there we go. that's our picks. This was fun.
One more.